Okay, this was great. We have the next session, which is equally amazing. So for the next session is on the future of innovation in. Future of innovation is open, going from ideas to solution at India's largest retailer, and we have Mr. Vivek Biyani, director of Future Group, for this session. Vivek.
Is it okay, guys? Great, guys. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. Great to see a lovely audience here. So I'll just start by asking two quick questions. How many people in the room believe that the consumer story in India has already been discovered? Any show of hands? Great. Okay. How many people believe that product companies can truly scale with Indian enterprise clients? Any show of hands for that? Okay, so not a lot of hands. That's good. So maybe then a lot of you all will find our story interesting. I think we are. Is this the presentation? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we are Future Group. I think at the heart of what we are is we are truly an Indian company. Indianness is a core value that we pride ourselves on. And I think everything that we do is actually for India. So we don't understand any other market. We don't understand any other consumer. I think the last 20-year history of ours is just been about serving Indian consumers through the different categories and services that we potentially serve them. And we do believe that any company that will be successful in India will have to understand India at its core, will have to understand India on Indian terms. India is a country with 30 major religions. India is a country with 7,000 castes, subcastes. India is a country that the dialect changes every 500 kilometers. The rice we eat changes every 200 kilometers. So I think any company or any product that we build in this country, if one doesn't go deep to understand India, to really service the 1.3 billion people that exist in this country, one will keep creating products that are niches and will find it hard to really scale those products. So I think whatever we have achieved, to be very honest, has been because of this core belief in India, has been because of this belief in understanding India on its own terms, and really going deep. So I think we have teams, across ethnographers, sociologists, who go into deep towns of India, understand the cultural nuances. We study a subject called memetics, which is cultural reproduction. And I think that has helped us achieve whatever we have achieved over the last 20 years. I think most of the audience will know us for something like this. So we run multiple different formats across multiple different categories. We have our own brands across food and fashion. But I think what we are really proud about is that we have a physical presence in a 5-kilometer radius in more than 11,000 pin codes of the country. Today, we potentially sell 30 crore garments in a year, which makes us among the top 10 fashion retailers in the world. We have more than 100 brands, our own brands, that we sell in the country across food and fashion and home to some extent. But I think one thing that we are most proud about, I think, is this entire idea that we have done all of this with the core virtue of partnerships. I think we as a company must have done more than 100 partnerships in our lifetime across the last 10-15 years. Various investments, various divestments, joint ventures, license agreement, etc., etc. And I think that's another core belief that we have, that I think any business which thinks for India at scale will have to work with that ecosystem around them to really build relevant solutions, experiences for consumers. I think the other idea that has really held us instead, we believe there are two or three different kind of companies. And I think any company that is in the consumer business will have to fundamentally keep reinventing themselves every 3 to 5 years, because disruption will happen around us. And I think we have this capability of continuously keep destroying what we have built in order to keep creating the new. So in the last, 15 years, I think we are an entrepreneur-led company. I think the entrepreneur, he yet runs the company, he yet takes most of the calls, he builds long-term horizon. And despite of that, I think we have shut, more than 25 businesses. We have shut more than 50 brands. But we have built 100. And I think the only reason why we are able to do this is this ability to keep destroying what you have built in order to keep building the new and keep reinventing yourself. So I think that has been a key element of who we have been in the last 15 years. But I think what we are today is only 15% of what potentially we aspire to be. It's a little bit like the iceberg that you only see 15% over the water. We believe we are in that cusp today, where I think everything that we are, whether it's the breadth of having more than 20 million square feet of retail store, 20 million square feet of retail space, or the 40 crore people that walk into our stores every year. I think 85% of who we will be is yet to come. And the reason for that is fundamentally we believe India is going to be the largest consumer market in the world. And that destination, in terms of how we can be part of that largest consumer market of the world, is allowing us to dream again and fundamentally allowing us to dream big. And that dream is to be Asia's largest integrated consumer business. And what that means fundamentally is that how can we be a business which goes from having our own manufacturing, in some sense, we run almost close to 80-90 factories, to having our own brands, to having our own supply chain or having a supply chain partner, to moving towards our stores and then the consumer. And the kind of that integration and the kind of experience you can drive because of that integration is what fundamentally excites us. So I think that's the opportunity in front of us in terms of how we potentially can be this business over the next 30 years. And there are a couple of pillars on which we are kind of basing this thought. Right? I think one of the key elements that will allow us to be this, one of the largest, integrated consumer business is something what we call Retail 3.0. Retail 3.0 for us, we believe that every couple of years there is a shift in a consumer business that happens. Right? I think there was a shift when, the modern trade brick and mortar stores came in, where there a shift happened from Kirana stores, and we're calling that Retail 1.0. There is a shift in consumerism that happened when the e-commerce wave came upon us, and fundamentally we call that Retail 2.0. We actually believe that there is another shift taking place today, and we are calling it Retail 3.0, and we call it a world of blended commerce. And for us, blended commerce is not about being an omni-channel retailer, or it's not about an online retailer having a physical presence or a physical retailer having some online presence. I think Retail 3.0, a blended commerce world, is a fundamentally different world. It's about how are we going to build experiences over the next 5 years, 10 years for a consumer when he's inside the store. What are the kind of motivations will the consumer have to even visit a store? Why will he be online, and therefore what are the kind of experiences one needs to build online for him? I think anyone, to be honest, born after 1980 doesn't recognize a consumer brand whether you're online or offline. Right? They will recognize a brand, they will engage with you on a brand, they'll engage sometimes with you online, engage sometimes with you offline. But I think there is a completely new place or the completely new experience one needs to build for the Retail 3.0 era in some sense. I think Amazon is trying it with what they call the Amazon Go stores. Alibaba calls it the Hema store experience that they've got. We believe we will build the India-specific Retail 3.0 journey. And I think we've started to kind of put the print brushes on it. I think I'll talk a little bit about some of the pilots we're doing around this space. But it's been very, very exciting in terms of the kind of experiences we can drive for this. I think taking that story forward, I think, in Retail 1.0 era, location was key. Given all things equal, the right location is potentially the most important thing for you to be successful. In the e-commerce world, the technology platforms really became, places where started to build differentiation between successful companies and not so successful companies in some sense. We believe in Retail 3.0, how companies will leverage the consumer data that you have will be key in terms of who potentially may be successful or maybe not. We'll talk about more about data, but I think that's one of the key things. Retail 1.0 era was all about economies of scale. You moved from Kirana store and disaggregated networks to really bringing it together in one modern space. 2.0 became, along with the economies of scale, I think e-commerce companies started offering the long tail, which was important. I think the Retail 3.0 era potentially, I think, is moving about how close are you to your consumers to build that emotional and relationship with that consumer. And proximity to the consumer will become a defining factor of that Retail 3.0 experience. Retail 1.0 obviously was all about the store. Retail 2.0 got defined by whether you're a horizontal e-commerce player or you're a specialized vertical e-commerce category specific player. I think Retail 3.0 will be about how well can you personalize your conversation with the consumer and how well you can kind of build intelligence about the consumer to offer that conversation to him. Retail 1.0 was all about mass media. That's how we engaged with consumers. That's how we spoke to consumers. The vocabulary changed with the e-commerce players, where we started talking about discounts, where we started talking about coupons. Retail 3.0 is about how will we and how well can we kind of talk to our consumers, and we spoke about it. But let me tell you about how we are bringing all this together. So we have, we conceptualized this small format retail business. I'm not sure if many people know about this yet. We run 1,000 stores of small format business, where we are bringing all elements of Retail 3.0 together. Right. So what is small format business for us? It's a neighborhood format business. We have a store in the micro catchments of this country. They're all neighborhood stores. They're all membership-based stores, so consumers come there, become a member, and they're all in the 2-kilometer vicinity of the store. But the defining idea of these stores with membership is the kind of data that we have about our members. We are able to pick up a lot of signals, a lot of patterns about that consumer, about how he behaves, what's his family size, what's his lifestyle, what's his affluence. And that is enabling us to kind of engage with him in a very, very different way. To give you one or two examples, for the small format business, I think the entire communication has changed with him. So in Punjab, to a Punjabi consumer, we speak to him in his local language. In Punjab, to a Punjabi consumer, to a Bengali customer in Punjab, we speak to him in Bengali. Let's say a community which is next to a store which has a lot of KPO, PPO outsourcing, our store timings have started changing. We have almost started now moving and putting thoughts around how can each store assortment be unique to the relevant community that lives, or the consumers that live, or the members that live next to that store. So I think this entire idea of how data is starting to drive our business is all coming alive in this prototype store format that we have started to put together. And I think that is something we believe will become the model of tomorrow for us, where I think the store experiences started to change, where the store teams, the store manager, really from doing the everyday store task, which fundamentally have got automated, have started to spend time to build relationship with consumers, to almost saying that everything that we do in the store, we only do on top of the data that the consumer is telling us about, and we do it for them. So let me tell you a little bit about the second leg. I see the time, it's only 8 minutes left more, so I'm going to move a little fast now. Is this idea about ecosystem. And this idea about ecosystem is fundamentally that as we kind of started engaging with these consumers with the data that we have, we realized that given the kind of data that we have, given the kind of signals we can pick up from the data when he shops, I mean, in the Easy Day format, the consumer or the member who becomes a member is shopping 50 times a year with us. And I think the kind of recognition patterns that we can pick about it, we fundamentally have started thinking together that how can we be part of a deeper ecosystem with him? Why can't we be part of his needs around travel, around services, around other categories? To give you an example, I think, as we started building the Easy Day network or the small format network, or really getting to know our consumer much more deeper because of the data we have about him, we've started to put together how can we build a data-led business for financial services, right? So I think the first product we're launching is a credit product, will come very soon, where we are looking at our data and fundamentally building a credit score and a model for the consumer without any checks around the bureau, the CIBIL, etc. I think those are things that, in a country when you want to serve, 50 crore people or 500 million people, people don't have financial histories available, but they have that data history available, right? They have that data traces available, which can truly empower the consumer to do a lot more. And I think companies like ours, which have that data, will be able to kind of offer these solutions to consumers and really empower them. So I think data is going to be key in this ecosystem-led space as well. And I think any company that kind of harnesses that power well and really builds the right kind of intelligence to keep building services for the consumer will be key. To move along, I think fundamentally, I think a lot of the newer ideas, as we are building a next 30-year vision for the group, we do believe that, we'll have to be a very different organization. I think we are an organization was born in a different era. We are 20 years old. And obviously, being a 20-year-old organization, being an organization that has 60,000 employees, there is a certain, aura about us in terms of our workforce, our culture. But we do believe that we need to transform that as well while we kind of are building the new kind of data assets, the new kind of technology assets, and the new businesses that are being built from a digital and a data lens. And I think there is a lot of effort being put personally by me, by the leadership team, where I think we have first immersed ourselves to believe in this, and then starting to kind of keep tweaking the culture that we have, the workforce that we have, the processes that we have, which also become very, very important and relevant, and how we potentially will move from being a company born in a physical era that works like a company with 60,000 people to a company which is born today and works with the same agility and speed of a company with very few people. And I think that potentially will be the defining piece for us. I think one of the key virtues of the group is that while we are kind of going to be building all of this, we don't believe we can do it all by ourselves. We believe that there are going to be a host of different partners, companies, entrepreneurs who are going to be part of this journey for us to realize this vision. And to kind of put that all together, we've created this vertical within the enterprise called Consumer and Digital Labs. We call it C&D Labs, where not only are we building the right kind of data capabilities, technology capabilities, building newer businesses that I spoke about. One of them was the credit business that we're building. But equally, how do we kind of create a framework to engage with the larger ecosystem out there, which will help us kind of achieve that vision or be part of that vision. I think even in our first era, fundamentally, I think when we kind of started our physical retail business, I think we reached out, and there are a lot of companies that got built along with us and are part of that journey. Whether it was, I think maybe just one example that I can give you is, I think Pine Labs has been a partner with us for 20 years. I think in the kind of innovation they've done on top of our stores, our consumers have helped us and them to grow together. And we do believe that that journey will continue even the next 30 years as we look at it, where I think there'll be a lot of solutions, products, partners who will become part of that journey for us to realize this vision. I think obviously what we kind of bring onto the table is the reach that we have. We operate in all stores of this, all states of this country, other than one state which we are not in Mizoram. We will be in Mizoram in the next 3 months. We have various formats available across food, fashion, home. Most of them are multi-channel today and moving towards the branded experience. And the platforms available, whether it's with respect to the consumers and the captive consumers that we have, or the kind of sandbox environments in the stores that we can create for us to kind of launch products, learn from it quickly, and then kind of see how we can scale with them. I think, I spoke about some of this stuff, but I think this is what any company who potentially will partner us in this journey will get from us. So whether it's kind of working on top of our data sets, whether it's kind of looking at how various people with specific domain expertise can come and work with you guys, they're all kind of part of what we want to do. I think while a lot of the companies will like to work with us, I think I'll just talk about 2 things here. I think one thing which is extremely important is that we are ultimately an enterprise. And I think both things need to happen. I think enterprises like us will need to work with younger companies so that they get the right kind of speed, agility. They're not stuck in procurement issues, legal issues. So we need to kind of understand and really think like how a young company thinks and what makes them comfortable, so that they can focus on their product and really kind of build that product. And I think some of the younger companies will have to also learn to deal a little bit with the enterprises, because enterprises do come with certain processes because the risk parameters are different. When you are a company which has 10 crore in business, the risk parameters are different on some of the things vis-a-vis, let's say, a company which has X amount of business. I think we've put together, to be honest, lot of different programs, lot of different frameworks. FIRE is one framework. Sarvana, who leads the Open Innovation Program, is very passionate about it. Anyone who's interested to participate in the Open Innovation Program with us should reach out to him. He's standing right there. I think the idea for us is why we have created a lot of these frameworks is so that younger companies, startup companies, don't get embroidered into this large company like ours. Our idea is that companies should come in fast, really implement the solution quickly, show results, small results, maybe in a pilot. But then from there, the ability to go from pilot to scale is equally important. And I think that is what we really look for in a lot of the companies, that is that ability to scale there or not. Because I think, as I had said earlier, I think, we are a company that will think for 50 crore consumers. We are a company that thinks for the larger kind of base of consumers that exists out there. We are not interested in solving a problem for 1 million people. We believe there are a lot of other people who can do it. But our entire DNA really works for solving problems for the mass of this country. So I think what I'm going to do, so these are some examples. I think some of the stuff that I spoke about, I think we've got a lot of learning in working with a lot of the younger companies. These are some companies that are already part of our program on the open innovation side. Live VR is a company who's building a couple of AR/VR solutions for a home business. I think Reverie is helping us build the local language solution. Oust is actually now live with 5,000 people, which is our micro learning program, which is a gamified micro learning program for our store teams. So I think a lot of stuff is already happening. There are a lot of learnings, and we have really created a framework for a lot of companies to engage with us and innovate with us. Obviously, all of this happens with a lot of different partnerships. So NASSCOM, Google, all of this have come and helped us in this journey. And I think as we kind of go out and scale over the next 30 years, I think their integrations will get a lot more deeper. So I think I will end it with one thing, which is I think we are a company that believes when you want to go fast, you go solo. But when you want to go far, you go together. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vivek. So I would like to invite Jayendran, CTO Myntra, to give a token of gratitude to Vivek.
Good to see you.
So Jayendran is a champion for RetailTech Summit. He has helped very much in setting this up. Thank you so much, Vivek.
Thanks.